The Frozen Secret in the year 2987. Space was full of strange and lost things. Humans had left Earth long ago, building colonies on many planets and moons. But there were still places no one had touched. Places full of silence and secrets, Commander. Raylan stood at the edge of a deep ice cave on a frozen moon called Ares 9. He was not just a soldier. He was a seeker of forgotten stories. His ship, the Starfire, had picked up a strange signal from this moon. A signal too old to be human, now. He and his small team of explorers were standing at the edge of something. Ancient, this is it, said Dr. Mara, the science officer, checking her scanner. The energy is still active after thousands of years. Raylan moved forward, his boots crunching on the ice, inside the cave. Metal walls appeared from under the frozen layers. It was a ship, buried deep and frozen in time. No one had seen a design like this before. Smooth and glowing with soft purple light, they entered slowly, lights flashing around them, the ships. Air was still clean, still warm, like it had been waiting. Symbols covered the wall, strange letters, not from any known alien language. At the heart of the ship, they found a glowing chamber. It was a cryopod, still working, still glowing softly in the dark. Inside, they saw her, a woman, not human, but beautiful in a strange and perfect way. Her skin shimmered like silver mixed with light. Her hair floated inside the chamber like waves of stars. She was not breathing, but she looked alive. Is she dead? Whispered Enzo, the youngest of the crew. No, said Mara slowly. She's sleeping. Raylan stepped closer. His hand touched the glass, and the ship responded. Lights turned on all around them. The floor began to hum. The door behind them slammed shut, trapping them inside. Commander, Mara shouted. The system just activated by itself. The chamber began to open, steam rising, lights flashing red. Raylan reached for his weapon but didn't raise it. Something told him not to. The glass pulled back and she fell into his arms. She gasped, her eyes glowing white for a moment. Then she looked at him, confused, afraid, and weak. Where am I? She asked in a soft, echoing voice. Raylan's team stared in shock. She spoke their language, but not perfectly. It sounded like a translation. Broken, but clear. You're safe, Raylan said calmly. We found your ship, your pod. Woman looked around, her eyes wide. I slept too long, she whispered. They are coming. Who is coming? Mara asked, but the woman fainted before she could answer. Raylan carried her back to the Starfire. They needed answers, and fast. As soon as they lifted off the frozen moon, a deep rumble echoed through space. Back on the surface, the ancient ship began to move. Its engines lit up after thousands of years. From the dark side of the moon, a strange signal pulsed through the void. It repeated one message again and again. She must not wake, on the Starfire. The woman opened her eyes again. My name, she said weakly, is Zephyra. I am the last daughter of Valerian. Who are they? Raylan asked. Who's coming for you? Zephyra looked at him, and for a moment, the stars seemed to reflect in her eyes. The destroyers, she said slowly. They are not gone. They heard me awaken. Before Raylan could speak, the ship's alarm went off. An unknown object had entered the system. A ship, black, silent, and massive, was moving toward them. Zephyra sat up, her body shaking. You must not let them take me, she said, or your people will fall. Just like mine. Raylan stared at the screen, then at her. Everything inside him said this was the beginning of something much bigger. She was not just an alien. She was a key to an ancient war, and now humanity was part of it. Asterisk, the princess of the star space was silent, but danger was near. The black enemy ship had no lights, no signals, no name. It moved like a shadow, like it had always been there, waiting. Inside the Starfire, Zephyra stood at the viewing glass, her silver eyes full of fear. This is not a ship, she whispered. It is a hunter. Commander Raylan watched her carefully. How do you know that? He asked. She didn't answer right away. Instead, She reached for her neck, pulled out a glowing pendant, and pressed it to her temple. A beam of light rose, forming a small star map in the air. "These are the last memories of my people," she said. "This hunter destroyed them." The map showed dozens of planets, burning, falling, then gone. The crew stared in silence. Zephyra closed her eyes and said something in her own language. A soft melody filled the room like a lullaby. From another world. Then the map disappeared. Mara stepped forward, trying to understand. "Who built that ship?" she asked. "Not built," Zephyr replied. "Grown? Grown?" Enzo said, confused. "Yes," she said. "The Varniks are not like you. Not like me. They were once machines, made to serve, but they changed. They learned to consume, to evolve, and to destroy." Raylan looked at his crew, then back at Zephyra. "Why are they chasing you?" Zephyra touched her chest gently. "Because I carry something they lost. Something they fear." Before anyone could ask more, the ship alarm screamed. The enemy vessel had locked onto them. "Shields up," Raylan ordered. The Starfire spun and began to escape, but the black ship didn't fire. It just followed, close watching. "They won't attack yet," Zephyra said softly. "They want to see where I go." Raylan turned to her, serious now. "What do you have, Zephyra?" She hesitated, then spoke. "I was a princess, but also a key. My father hid the last coordinates of the Star Core, a weapon. Not of power, but of truth. With it, we could see the Varniks' weakness. But we lost it before the fall." Raylan's voice turned cold. "You mean you know how to stop them?" "Maybe," she said. "But not alone," Mara spoke up. "So where is this Star Core now?" Zephyra opened her hand, revealing a star-shaped crystal inside her palm. "It's not where, it's who," she said. "The Star Core is not a place, it is alive." Raylan looked out the window at the black ship again. "They'll never stop following us, will they?" "No," Zephyra said. "Not until I am gone." She looked at Raylan with a steady gaze. "You should leave me." But Raylan shook his head. "You're on my ship now," he said. "And humans don't leave people behind." For a moment, something soft appeared in Zephyra's eyes. Maybe trust, maybe hope. Suddenly, the enemy ship vanished. It disappeared from radar, from sight, like it had never existed. Raylan stared at the screen. Where did it go? Zephyra looked worried. "They do not chase when they can wait," she said. "They will find us again." Back in her room, Zephyra activated the pendant again. This time, she sent out a signal coded, ancient, and hidden. She whispered into the device. "This is Zephyra of Valerian. I have awakened. If you still live, I need you." Then she sat down silent. She had not told Raylan everything. Not yet. Far away, on a broken moon, a signal blinked alive. A figure rose from a bed of ashen metal, his eyes burning gold. He smiled. "So, the princess lives," he said. "It's time." Enemies in the shadows, somewhere between the stars, where light fades and shadows live. A signal moved. It was cold, quiet, and ancient like a whisper from a ghost. It traveled far, untouched by time or space. And somewhere, in a hidden corner of the galaxy, something heard it, inside the starfire. Zephyra stood alone in the dark observation deck. She watched the stars pass by through the glass. But her mind was not here. It was far away, in memories older than Earth itself. Raylan entered quietly, not wanting to disturb her. "You haven't slept," he said. Zephyra didn't turn. "In sleep I see them fall," she whispered. "My people, my home, everything." He stood beside her, looking at the same stars. "We've seen war too," Raylan said. "But we learned to fight back." She looked at him for a long moment. "That is why I think your kind still has hope." Suddenly the ship's lights flickered. A system alert blinked red. Something was approaching. But it was not on radar, not on any scanner. "It's them," Zephyra said before the crew could even react. "The Varniks." Enzo, at the control panel, shouted. "There's nothing there. But systems are going crazy." The ship shook slightly, as if space itself had bent for a second. A strange symbol appeared on every screen, 3 spinning circles. Bleeding light, Mara gasped. That's not code, that's a message. Zafira's face turned pale. They are not just machines, she said. They speak through fear. Raylan clenched his fists. If they want to scare us. They picked the wrong ship. He ordered full shields, weapons ready. But there was nothing to shoot at. Only whispers in the system lines of corrupted data. Strange voices in the comms. Then the ship froze for exactly 3 seconds. No sound, no lights, no time. And then everything came back. A new message appeared on the screen. Just 2 words, "We see." Zephyra stepped back, terrified. They're not chasing, she said. They're watching. Raylan turned to her. You said there were others, he asked. Other survivors from your empire. She nodded slowly. One may still live, she said, but he is dangerous. Who is he? Commander Nix, she said, her voice uncertain. He was our strongest warrior, our protector. But when the war ended, something changed. Raylan stared at her. And you sent a signal to him, he guessed. She lowered her head. I had no choice. Before anyone could argue, the ship's comm lit up. A message was coming in old encryption. Alien frequency. Zephyra, the voice said, low and deep. You are not alone anymore. Nix had found them. Within an hour, his ship appeared, a sleek black and blue war cruiser, scarred by old battles. It didn't approach with weapons. Only silence. Raylan and his crew watched carefully as the docking port connected. Zephyra walked toward the entrance, slow and unsure. The door opened, steam escaping like breath from a beast. And then he stepped out. Tall, armored, with glowing blue eyes, and a face like stone. Nix looked at Zephyra, his voice cold but respectful. My princess, he said, kneeling slightly. You should not have awakened. I had no choice, she replied. Nix looked at Raylan and his crew with sharp, calculating eyes. Humans, he said. Curious creatures. Raylan didn't back down. Welcome aboard, he said with a dry tone. Try not to break anything, Nix smiled faintly. That depends on what I find. Later, in the war room, Zephyra explained the Starcore to Nix. He listened, then turned to Raylan. She cannot do this alone, he said. Her power is not ready. She needs someone to link with the core, a mind strong enough to guide it. Raylan frowned. Why do I feel like you already chose someone? Nix's eyes glowed brighter. I did, he said. And it is not you, Zephyra stood, stepping between them. Enough, she said. We must work together. But something about Nix's arrival felt wrong. Mara whispered to Raylan later. He's hiding something. And she was right, in the silence of night. Nix entered the data core of the Starfire. He placed a small cube on the terminal, and a quiet voice spoke from it. Connection confirmed, it said. Observation unit activated, Nix whispered. They trust too easily. The betrayal in the cold dark of deep space. Secrets moved faster than light. They slipped between cracks, hid inside smiles, and waited for the right moment to strike. And aboard the Starfire, one secret was already awake. Commander Nix stood in the engine room alone, staring at the soft blue lights pulsing along the walls. He wasn't admiring the ship, he was scanning it, learning, mapping, his visor displayed crew routes, weapon systems, and most importantly, the location of Zephyra's pendant. Behind him, the shadows flickered. A small black cube whispered in a strange language only he could understand. Status? The voice asked. Nix answered in a flat tone. Target secured. Trust growing. Soon. Elsewhere on the ship, Zephyra sat quietly in the observation room. The stars passed like rivers of light, but she didn't see them. Her thoughts were heavy, her heart unsure. Raylan walked in and sat beside her. You called him. Even though you don't trust him, he said. She nodded. He was once loyal, she whispered. But war changes everyone. Has it changed you? Raylan asked. Zephyra turned her head, her voice soft. Ask me again when it's over. Raylan smiled a little. I will. That night, the ship reached a hidden station orbiting a dying star. This was where Zephyra believed the star core had once passed through, but something was wrong. The station was still active, but empty, no life, no heat, only silence. And in the silence, they found a warning. Scorched into the walls in 3 different languages. Do not trust the commander. Raylan read it twice, his eyes narrowing. He didn't tell Zephyr right away. Instead, he began watching. Quietly, back aboard the Starfire, Mara was digging. Through encrypted files from Nyx's ship, she found a hidden folder, sealed tight with old alien code. Her fingers moved quickly, and suddenly, the screen flashed red. Unauthorized access detected. Before she could react, the door slammed open. Nyx walked in, silent, cold. Mara stood up quickly. You were doing something foolish, Nyx said, walking closer. Then he smiled. But I like clever minds. He stepped back and left without saying another word. Mara's hand shook slightly as she closed the screen. She knew now Nyx was dangerous. And watching everyone later, in the main hall, Zephyra gathered the crew. I believe the Starcore is still alive, she said, hiding, just like I was. To reach it, we must travel to the edge of silence. Enzo frowned. Is that a planet? No, she replied. It's a place where space bends, where sound dies and time feels broken. Nyx stepped forward. I will guide the ship, he said. I have been there before. Raylan looked at him hard. Have you? Their eyes locked, and in that second, no one spoke. Zephyra broke the silence. We go together, she said. Or not at all. That night, Raylan slipped into the engine logs, checking the power trails. He found something strange, a black cube draining tiny amounts of energy. When he traced its signal, it led to the room where Nyx stayed. He went in quietly, and what he found changed everything. The cube was floating, speaking in a language that twisted like smoke. It was sending data to the Varnix Raylan recorded. It then turned to leave, but Nyx was already standing at the door. You shouldn't be here, Nyx said. Voice cold. Raylan raised his weapon. You lied. Nyx didn't flinch. I protected her when you didn't exist, he said. But now she needs more than a soldier. She needs power. You're working with the Varnix. Raylan growled. Nyx nodded slowly. I made a deal, he said. They promised to spare a piece of our kind. Sacrifice one princess to save the memory of millions. Raylan fired. Nyx moved faster than expected, grabbing the weapon and tossing it aside. They fought 2 warriors from different stars, fists echoing against steel. Nyx struck Raylan hard, sending him crashing into the wall. I won't kill you, Nyx said. Not yet. I want her to choose. He left. Vanishing into the corridors, Raylan lay on the ground, blood on his face, and a broken heart in his chest. The awakening, she dreamed of fire, of planets burning, stars screaming, and her people crying her name as they fell into silence. Zephyra stood in a garden of glass, her mother's voice echoing through the ruins. You are the key, it whispered. But keys can open or destroy. She woke with a gasp, her body drenched in cold light. Her heartbeat was faster, louder, like thunder in her ears. Something inside her had changed. Something had awakened. Raylan sat beside her, injured but awake, his face bruised but his eyes calm. You were out for hours, he said. I thought we lost you. Zephyra looked at her hands. Energy flickered around her fingers, glowing gold and silver. I saw something, she whispered. A memory that wasn't mine. But it lives inside me now. Raylan leaned closer. What did you see? A weapon, she said softly, but not made of machines. It was made of belief, hope, pain, and memory woven into a living force. Mara entered the room, a data pad in her hand. The path to the star core runs through the edge of silence, she said. But the region is unstable. Zephyra stood up slowly. Then we don't walk through it, she said. We become part of it. No one understood what she meant, not yet. But the power inside her had started to speak, not with words, but with visions. Meanwhile, Nick stood alone in the cargo bay, staring at the empty space beyond the glass. The Varnic signal still pulsed inside his helmet. "Status," the machine voice whispered. Nix answered coldly. "She's changing. She won't be controllable for long." "Then you must act," the voice replied. "If she bonds with the core, she becomes the end." But something inside Nix hesitated. He remembered her as a child, her laughter, her fire. She was more than a mission once. She was his reason. Back on the bridge, Zephyra touched the pendant at her neck. "Take me to the edge," she said. "I will call the Star Core." The ship entered a strange part of space, silent, gray, with stars that didn't shine. No noise, no time, just the feeling of falling. Without moving, the crew began to feel dizzy, lost, disconnected from reality. Only Zephyra stood firm, her body glowing with threads of energy. "I remember now," she said. "The Star Core doesn't live in space, it lives in me." She walked to the center of the ship and knelt down. She began to hum a melody from a forgotten age. The walls vibrated, lights dimmed, and suddenly, a pulse of energy exploded outward. A massive shape appeared outside the ship, floating in the gray void. It was not a ship, not a planet. It was alive, a living, breathing being made of light and memory. The Star Core. Raylan stepped forward, eyes wide. "What is that?" Zephyra turned to him, her voice steady. "The last guardian of my people, and the last chance for yours." The Star Core sent out a pulse of light, scanning the ship, the crew, and finally Zephyra. It spoke without words. Only emotions, pain, loss, love, fear. Then, it asked one silent question. "Do you accept the burden?" Zephyra closed her eyes. "I do." The Star Core entered her body, merging with her soul. She cried out not in pain, but in release, like something broken inside her had been made whole again. When it was over, she opened her eyes, now glowing with pure starlight. She floated above the floor, her voice echoing with power. "I remember everything," she said. "Every death, every scream, every lie." And then she turned to Raylan. "We have one chance," she said, "but it comes with a cost." He stepped closer. "What cost?" Zephyra touched his face gently. "If I use this power to destroy the Varnics," she said, "I won't survive." Before he could respond, alarms screamed. Nix had locked the crew inside the control bay. He stood at the main power core, weapon in hand. The Varnic's voice spoke from his helmet again. "Now," it said. "End her." Nix raised his weapon. His hands shook, and Zephyra walked into the room, her body glowing like a newborn star. "You were my shield once," she said. "Will you now become my sword?" Rise of the human spirit. It began with a choice, not between life or death, but between fear and courage, between saving one life or saving many. Commander Nix stood frozen, his weapon still aimed at Zephyra. His finger trembled over the trigger. In her eyes he saw no fear, only sorrow. "Do it," she said. "If your heart still belongs to the machine." Raylan burst into the chamber with the others behind him, weapons raised. "Step away from her." "Nix," he shouted. But Nix didn't move. He looked at Zephyra again. "I swore to protect you," he said, "even if it meant saving you from yourself." Zephyra stepped closer. "I'm not afraid to die," she whispered. "But are you?" For a moment, the silence was loud, and then Nix lowered his weapon. He turned off his helmet, threw the cube to the ground, and crushed it under his boot. "No more whispers," he said. "I choose her." The ship shook violently as a Varnix signal entered the system. "They're here," Mara said, looking at the radar. A fleet of shadow ships filled the stars behind them, blocking every escape. Raylan turned to the crew. "We've come too far to run now." Zephyra floated to the center of the bridge, glowing with the energy of the Star Core. "I can fight them," she said, "but I will burn out." "No," Raylan said. "We fight with you. We are human." The crew nodded. Mara, Enzo, even Nix. They all stood behind her, behind Hope. The Starfire activated full battle mode. All systems turned red, weapons extended. Shields rose like walls of light, but it wasn't enough. The Varnic ships were living machines, powered by ancient technology and dark purpose. Then something unexpected happened. Other human ships began to appear, responding to Raylan's emergency call. Old allies, pirate fleets, outer rim freighters, even civilian cruisers. They didn't come for orders, they came for honor. One by one, they joined the fight. A voice crackled through the speakers. "This is Captain Nara of the Solar Wind, ready to die if needed. This is the Crimson Arrow standing by. This is Earth Fleet. Humanity stands with the Princess." Raylan smiled. "We are not alone." The final battle began. Laser fire lit up the sky, ships exploded, and black Varnix cruisers moved like snakes through space. The Starfire led the charge, with Zephyra at its heart, guiding energy like a goddess of light. She raised her hands, waves of starlight shot from her body, tearing through the Varnix core. Raylan fired missiles while Nyx used alien tactics to outmaneuver the enemy. Mara used the old tech Zephyra gave them to disrupt Varnix signals. Humans, once scattered, now fought like one great storm. But the enemy adapted. One by one, Varnix ships began to push back harder, faster, smarter. Zephyra's power was fading, her glow dimming, her voice slowing. Raylan reached her. "You're fading," he said. She nodded, weak but steady. "I am the door," she whispered. "You must be the hand that closes it." Suddenly, the Starcore's energy split in two. One part remained with Zephyra, the other reached toward Raylan. The system reacted, his body lifted, connected by light to hers. They were bonded, her ancient knowledge, his human strength. One being, two souls. Together, they released a wave of energy that shook the stars. Dozens of Varnix ships were destroyed instantly. But at the center of the enemy fleet, something dark began to rise. A massive figure made of black metal and flame. Twisted wings spread out like a shadow across the sky. It was the Varnix Prime, the original mind, the first destroyer, the one who ended her people. Zephyra's eyes widened. "I thought it was dead," she said. Raylan held her hand. "Then we kill it again." The Varnix Prime charged its weapon, a beam of dark matter large enough to split a moon. Raylan and Zephyra rose into the light, the Starfire heading straight for the heart of the storm. And then, the last stand in the center of the stars. Time forgot how to move, light froze, space cracked, and everything waited for the moment a human and a lost princess would face the destroyer of civilizations. The Starfire flew through the burning sky, engines pushed to their limits. Behind it, the Varnix Prime rose like a god of death, massive and ancient. Its voice thundered through every frequency. "You are dust," it said. "You are forgotten." But Zephyra's voice cut through the silence. "No," she said, standing with light in her eyes. "We are the last memory of a billion souls. We are not dust, we are their echo." And beside her stood Raylan, not born with power, not chosen by fate, but still. He chose to fight. He turned to the crew one last time. "We win this, not because we are strong," he said, "but because we never gave up." Mara nodded, tears in her eyes. Enzo smiled through the fear. Even Nyx, silent and broken, took his place at the gun deck. This was their final stand. The Varnix Prime charged its dark beam. One strike could erase them, one blast could end it all. But Zephyra had one final spark left. The Starcore burned inside her like a second sun. She turned to Raylan. "This will take everything," she said. "If I fall, promise me you will live." Raylan reached for her hand. "Not without you," he said. They rose together, connected by energy and purpose. A golden wave of power blasted from their bodies. The fleet followed, every human ship, every ally, charging behind them. A storm of light against a wall of darkness. The Varnix Prime fired. The beam struck, tearing through the stars. But Zephyra caught it with her bare hands, screaming in pain, glowing brighter than anything Raylan had ever seen. She held it just long enough. "Now," she cried. Raylan fired the Starcore's true weapon, a memory pulse, filled with love, sorrow, truth. and every moment of humanity's will to survive. The blast hit the Varnix Prime, not with heat, but with meaning. It screamed not in pain, but in fear. It had never felt emotion, never carried memory. It shattered not from outside, but from within. The black metal burned, the wings collapsed, and the core exploded in a storm of light. But the price had already been paid. Zafira's body floated gently in the void, her glow fading like the end of a star. Raylan held her in his arms, tears falling quietly. "You saved them all," he whispered. "And you saved me." Her eyes opened one last time. "You showed me," she said softly, "that humans are more than I ever imagined." And then light, soft, warm, eternal. She vanished, not in death, but into the stars. The battle was over. The galaxy was free, back on Earth. Years later, a girl sat under the stars with her grandfather. He pointed at a bright cluster in the sky. "See that one?" he said. "That's where she lives now." "Who?" the girl asked. He smiled. "The alien princess who gave up everything, and the human who never let go." She looked up, eyes wide. "Do you think they're watching us?" The old man nodded slowly. "Always," he said. The stars blinked, and for just a moment one of them glowed gold.